Hey everybody, welcome to another video. In this one I'm going to be showing you how to set up the PlayStation 2 emulator. So what I'm going to do is show you the website here. The link will be in the descriptions. So this is for the PS or PCSX2 emulator for the PS2. So what we're going to do is navigate to that page. We're going to click on latest stable version. So you have your option of either doing the installer or the download straight file. That's going to be a zip file. So it's up to you which one you want to do. Just go ahead and download that and put that in your downloads section. Go ahead and get that program installed. And the other thing you're going to need is a BIOS file for the PS2. Obviously, I cannot post a link to that one, but basically just type, PS2 emulation BIOS into Google, and it should not be a problem at all finding that file. So once you have that downloaded to your computer, just go ahead and close your browser, and you're just going to quickly navigate to the folder that has the the downloads in your system, and we're going to go ahead and go into that folder. So you should see the zip file. Just right click on that and extract it to either here or the / here if you're using WinRAR, and it'll extract it to the directory of the name of the zip file. Go in there. Once you've done that, if you selected the zip file version, just go ahead and copy that folder and paste it somewhere on your C drive, and that's going to be the 64-bit version of that. So once you get that extracted, I'm going to go ahead and show you the best way to set this up. Now there is different versions. Probably the best game that you can get to run on this graphic wise is Gran Turismo 4. I will do a separate video for that later on, as that does take a lot of different settings than the default to get it to look really nice. But once you do that, the game will look super nice. But for this one, we're going to show you basic setup for the ROM images that you may have, or your disk images. So let's go ahead and open up that browser. And then once you go and open your folder, you should see something like this. So once you're in there, your BIOS that you find from the internet, you're going to want to put it in that BIOS folder. And keep in mind the locations for some of these folder, directories. You can do them custom. So I'm going to show you how to do that also to get it set up. But this is, more or less what the BIOSes are going to look like once you get those downloaded from the internet. And then I'm going to show you to choose the one that you want from inside the emulator. So once you have that done, this is, just as easy as getting this to start. So just go ahead and hit that. Now, as you can see on here, for me, it's already showing the, the games that I have installed. When you first open it, it's going to show you a completely blank window here. So the first spot you're going to want to go to here is the settings. Or actually, to make this, I'm going to actually get this set up so you can use it later better with the GT4 video I'm going to make. So what you want to do, make it easier on yourself, click on tools first, and you're going to want to have this show advanced settings box checked. So make sure that is checked. That way it'll be easier for you later on. So for right now, setting up your directories, click settings. You're going to go to game list, and you're basically going to hit this browse button right here, directory, and you're going to pick whatever folder your games are in. Once you've done that, it will show you the list of games here on your window. So that's super easy to get that set up. The same thing with your BIOS. You're going to click on that, and you're going to point to the folder that has the BIOS files inside. And then this is the BIOS file that I'm using, the cph39001.bin. So whatever works the best for you, you can go ahead and use that. I also have the options here to do the fast boot on here. So that's all up to you. The interface is kind of, self-explanatory. Whatever you choose on here, it's going to affect the way the interface looks for you on the screen. The emulation part of it, you pretty much want to leave everything running in 100% for normal speed. This will be the speed and the frame rates for when you do the fast forward speed option, if you do activate that, and the slow motion speed is on here. So that you can leave default as is, or you can change it if you want. And these settings here, you can try and match them up like this. These are pretty much like this one will help you if you have a lower end PC or like an AMD. I have an AMD, so that's why I have this this setting on. If you have that setting on and you notice issues with your computer running the emulator, just go ahead and uncheck that just in case that's what's causing it. This I left at the default too. Now this part here is pretty important here with your setup. Now again, this is all going to depend on your CPU, the amount of memory you have, how modern of a computer you have. On mine's, it seems to run better on OpenGL, and that could be because I have the AMD. You know, it's the processor with the chip built inside, so I don't have a separate GPU. So this works better for me. A lot of people have reported that the best one is Vulkan. For me, it turned out to be OpenGL, and some games will actually run better with DirectX, you know, DirectX either 12 or 11. So that all depends on yours. So it's going to be, you know, just a matter of checking the settings and see works better for you. But for me, like I said, it was OpenGL. Now, once you've done that, you want to definitely hit this anti-blur. That'll get rid of that blurring issue that came originally with the PS2. Now, that was actually done on there because at the time PS2 came out, they were focusing on CRT screens and not the modern ones. So if you have a modern screen, you definitely want to keep this checked. It will make the image look crisper. This other stuff here I left alone. So let's go through one of the tabs here one by one. So here the native is basically going to be what you're going to see on your screen. So again, keep in mind that this is going to be reflective of the type of computer you have. If you have a decent computer, you should be able to run, you know, 1080p. And again, you know, if you got a high-end computer, you know, the higher number you pick here, the better the resolution is going to look. So if you have up to, you know, 6K, you can actually set that there. Bilinear, you want to more than likely leave that on. It will make it look better. Try linear filtering. Some games are better with it. Some games are better off. So I suggest you leave it on automatic, as the emulator would choose the best setting for you on its own. This you can choose to either turn it on or off. I play it safe, keep it off. But again, you can go ahead and choose whatever looks better for you. Dithering I have off. Blending accuracy high. Now this again depends on your system. Normally, every time you launch a game, it's going to tell you which one you're running on the, you know, preferred one. From what I've heard with this newer emulator, you don't really need to go any higher than basic. So again, that's going to be up to you on the setting that you want. And then we have the mip mapping feature here. A lot of people actually say to disable that. So for the heck of it, I'm going to disable that and leave this on basic so we can run a demo in a second and you can see what it looks like more or less with that setting. Texture replacement. Now this is going to be if we have different HD packs. And that all depends on, you know, if you can find them or what games you want to use them with. I'm going to cover that on the second video that I do later for the GT4. If you do intend on using the texture if you do want to use the texture replacements later on, you do want to leave this on here. This setting here is not necessary if you've already picked this middle section here, so either or. And then that's it for that one. Post-processing, you can go ahead and change some of the stuff here. I honestly think this is more, you know, better left alone. That's for the other type of filtering. I also have that off. TV shader, you can, you know, pick whatever you want here. There's a lot of settings here that you can pick. These are more or less for the if you use the older styled CRTs and you're used to having it look like the older TV sets, these are preferable for you. So I'm actually going to set that to none so you can see what it looks like with that set to none. Shade boost, and this literally lets you control the brightness, contrast, and saturation without having to go through your actual TV settings. You can do this from within inside the emulator. So I use 58 brightness, 56 contrast, saturation 50. Again, that's up to you on what you guys want to use. The OSD, I will leave these at its defaults. 100 for OSD. Show indicators, warn about unsafe settings. You know, this stuff here. You can kind of play around with it and, you know, put whatever you want here. This will show you the FPS per second. You can show the version of the emulator, stuff like that. So that's all up to you. Now recording, I'm going to go ahead and disable that. You can capture either or because I use different software to capture that anyway. So this is also something I may do a video on in the future. But as far as for this one, we're going to just bypass this section here. And advanced, this is one of the settings we can also cover later. For now, these are all left at default. Now, one of the things that I like about this emulator is how easy it is to set it up. You know, if different games have different settings, you can do that with ease, and we'll get to that in a second. So your audio here, the one that works the best for me is this setting here. You can also choose SDL or no audio input at all. The driver, you can leave it a default, or play around with the settings on that also. You got the output device, expansion, and so forth. So these are all things you can change, according to your preference. Memory cards, it's basically going to have this already set up for you. If you have these checked, you will have the 2 memory cards. So it'll basically act, just like a regular PS2. If you have these sections on, it will allow you to save the games without having to actually do the save states on your own. You can actually mimic the use of an actual PlayStation 2. So you can leave those on. Network, I do not have on. The folders I showed you a little bit earlier. One of the things I recommend with this, always try and keep your save states. And, if you have like HD textures and so forth, try and keep that off the root drive, because that way if something happens to your main drive, you're going to lose the save states. And you might lose stuff like if you have snapshots taken and so forth. So as you can see on here, I have 2 different locations for the covers and also for the save states. That way, if something bad happens to your regular drive, you still have those things on your alternate drive. And the benefit of that, it'll actually read them from there, as long as you have your drives plugged in, and you don't have to worry about losing them in case something happens. The covers, I'm going to show you how to set those up in a second. So basically with the covers, if you want to go ahead and save them, you're going to go ahead, obviously, and pick a save location so you can put them. And like I said, I did put that on the second drive. So for your covers, it won't find them automatically for you. So all you need to do is just, jump on the internet, go to Google and click the image tab and just type in the name PS2, whatever the name of the game is, and put covers, and you'll automatically be able to find pictures for that. And literally you're just going to go ahead and download those pictures and put them in this location. And I'm going to show you here quick what they look like. So we're going to go to that location. So mine's the PS2 folder, so we're going to navigate to that. And as you can see, I got covers, HD packs, the BIOS, and the save states in here. And like I said, the reason for that is what I said earlier, play it safe. So once you put your covers in there, it's going to be in there. You're literally telling to look, in that location for the folders. Achievements, I don't even mess around with, so I won't get into that. And debug setting, obviously that's for debugging features, which I won't cover here. But let's go ahead and close this, and I'm going to show you really quick here. For example, if you do those settings for the covers and you put the pictures in there, you can go to view and then choose this game grid option, and it's going to show you the pictures of the games that you have installed. So remember, this feature does not work on its own. You have to download the images themselves and put them in that folder and just point to the location like I just showed you, and you'll be able to see the covers like this. That also comes in handy if you want to do the big picture view. I believe that is also available on here. And for right now, for some reason, I do not see that feature, but here it is. So you can actually kind of mimic the way the Steam engine is set up. Now, right here, what I'm going to show you. So you can go on here, game list, and you can see them like this, way bigger than the other screen. So if you prefer like this kind of view, you can also do it that way. So that all depends on what you want to do. And then you can go ahead and just go back to the regular way you had it. So you can choose the 2 options from here, game list, game grid, or you can do big picture by clicking on here. You also have the option to start the BIOS. So you can literally click on that. And if you have the BIOS in that folder and you have that location, pointing to the emulator, you will be able to launch the BIOS just like that. So we'll close that out right now. So as I was telling you earlier, if you do want to save certain settings for certain games, you can just right click on the game and you're going to go here to where it says properties, and this is going to actually do the settings per whatever game you pick. So if you have different settings you want for specific games, this is how you do it. That way you can go ahead on there, make sure this is on there. If it's specifying a game, that means you're changing settings just for that game, and you can basically go through what I just showed you and change settings per games, per whatever you have. And then the other video, I will also show you how to do this widescreen and these other more advanced features. You also have game fixes on here. If you have a specific game that needs a specific fix here, you can go ahead and check it on here. Another cool thing with this, if you have a compatible gamepad, you should not have to do anything to it. It should find the settings on its own. If you do want to go ahead, obviously, and change them, you can just go ahead and enter the controls menu, and you can do the changes right here. This is kind of self-explanatory. If you do want to change settings, just click on it and, go ahead and click the corresponding input on your joystick, and it'll set it to that. But like I said, if you have a compatible joystick, you shouldn't need to mess with this at all. So once that is done, you've basically set the emulator up to work. So we could literally just go ahead and launch a game, and we'll launch the GT3 on here. Another cool thing, if you have a save game already saved on your system, it's going to tell you if you want to load it from that save space, or if you want to do a fresh boot, which will, literally launch the game like it's the first time that you used it. So you can go ahead and launch there, and we'll take a look here. Now I do have the reshade on here. I do have it deactivated now just so we can look at this the way it looks, right out of the box and with the default settings. This is compatible with reshade. Just make sure when you set up reshade that it is using, whatever renderer driver you're using. So as you can see, the rendering of the video there looks really nice. We'll just run a quick little arcade mode here. Now this is with the widescreen option here, the way I'm running it. And this is running at 1920 by 1080. Now you can also kind of do the settings on the fly if you want to kind of test this as you're playing. So you can just go ahead and pause the game, go hit escape. And then once you do this, it's automatically going to put you in the the options here. So just click on game properties, and you'll be able to change the settings for the game that you're actually running, at the time you've done this. So we can go ahead here to the settings. As you can see, I have this running on DirectX 12 for this video, and you can go in here and play around with the settings that you want, and you can actually see what they'll look like. So the anti-blur, like watch, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. But on this one, it doesn't have too much of an effect. It doesn't look too bad, but there is a lot of games where if you do not enable that blur, GT4 being one of them, if you do not enable that, the game will look horrible. So that's just, like I said, an example of, per game settings, how they interact differently with different type of games. You have your upscaling here. So there's a ton of stuff here that you can go through. There's the anti-blur we just talked about. We can go ahead and turn that back on. Internal resolution, you can change that from here. And this is cool because, like I said, you could do it as you're going through the game itself and see what the changes are, at the time you're actually playing it. Mid mapping is on. So this is the best way to literally like go through it and see the differences in the settings as you're actually playing it. So these are the filters. You have the shade boost here, brightness, the TV shaders. Now these are the ones that'll kind of mimic, like I said, the CRT. So let's go ahead and put on the triangle filter, and we can see what that does to the screen. So you can see the effect there. It does kind of give it that that older screen look. You kind of got to look close to see the difference because it is at a higher resolution, but there is a difference there on the way the game looks. So you can pretty much go in there and kind of play around with all the settings and change everything to your preference. So that is it for this one. So if you guys make use of the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Have a great day.